Harvey Mudd, if you're not as familiar, of course, is an excellent institution. It's one of the few liberal arts colleges that primarily focuses on and excels in the STEM fields. So I think, tonight you're in for a treat. You're going to find out a lot of very useful information about this college. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Osgood. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction. You actually gave me a perfect introduction and welcome. Appreciate that. Yes, we're an unusual school in that we're one of a very small number of schools that focuses on math, science, and engineering. All of our majors are math, science, and engineering. And that we're perceived, I think, really as a leader in certain respects in this country for STEM education. But we're also an undergraduate institution, residential, almost everyone lives on campus, and the style of learning here is deeply connected to the liberal arts process, which what I mean by that is we want our graduates to be educated broadly. We want them to become lifelong learners. We're going to focus on their ability to analyze sharply. We're going to focus a lot on understanding interdisciplinary work. We're going to have a lot of collaborative work. We're going to sharpen your communication skills. All these things are embedded within the liberal arts process, and that is how we teach all of our subjects, including fields as technical as engineering or computer science. One of the things that's also very distinctive about Harvey Mudd College is our location here in Claremont. Less so our location, but more of what that means, because Claremont is the home to 7 separate institutions that work together in a consortium. There are 2 graduate schools in the mix. I have carved them out of the map, but I'm not going to talk very much about them. But there are 5 undergraduate colleges, and you can see the map here on the left. The colleges are literally next door to each other. What separates Harvey Mudd from Pitzer is a large rock and a bush. You don't even need to cross a street to get there. And so it's very easy to permeate the borders of one college and interact with the others. Why would you do that? Well, there's some pretty cool people next door. You might want to make some friends. You might want to expand your interest set, and they may have different interests than yours. Really easy to do that. Each college has students living on their own campus, but there's a lot of crossing. Most of the clubs and activities and organizations that you might care to join would be open to you regardless of which college was sending you to that activity. So we have 2 orchestras, we have 9 a cappella groups, there is an organic farm on Pomona College's campus, a lot of community service and community engagement activities, all kinds of student clubs for activism, for community and fellowship, identity centers. The athletics is one of the strangest things here. Among the 5 undergraduate colleges, you might think there would be 5 varsity athletic teams or 1. There are, in fact, 2, and it's the only place I know of where the away team could dress at home and go a block and a half and play an away game, and that away game is going to look like a home game. It's really odd. The alignments are Harvey Mudd College with students from Scripps College and Claremont McKenna College for a team called CMS. And then Pomona Pitzer are our rival teams. But it's a spirited rivalry, but if we don't win, we want them to win the league championship. How about that? Each college in this group has its own vision for itself, its own value system, its own feel, its own architecture, its own landscaping. They look different from each other, and the conversations that are principal at each school will be a bit different. In a lot of ways, that college's personality, if I can ascribe that to a college, resonates with the social movements in this country at the time that college was founded. So Claremont McKenna College, as an example, was founded in the period of good feeling that marked the end of the Second World War in this country. Scripps College was founded soon after women got the right to vote. Pitzer College was founded the same year Martin Luther King Jr. led the March on Washington. Harvey Mudd College was founded during the Cold War and the space race, so hence the interest in more technical areas. So I invite you to think of this cluster of colleges as a family. Each college has its own identity, but we agree to work together. And some of the resources we have are intentionally across all the colleges. So the image that you see in the backdrop here is of the main library system, which is massive. We also have campus safety patrols throughout all of the campuses and is coordinated with us all. There are identity centers, chaplains for students to find fellowship, and some academic programs are spun off of those. In terms of taking care of the students, each college wants to be the main outlet for the students. As an example, Harvey Mudd College has an office of health and wellness, but there is a larger health and wellness center that all the colleges would use. So the point I'm trying to make here is there's sort of layers of support for students here. What I didn't mention and was neglectful is that all of these undergraduate colleges use the same portal to register for courses. So students would cross-register for their coursework. And this is not something that's arcane or you need some secret handshake in order to do it. This should be a normal part of any student's thinking about what kind of courses they want to sign up for. And so we like to measure things at Harvey Mudd College. How many Harvey Mudd students do not cross-register? That number is 0. So the chances are really high that you'll do that. Another way you could interact with I should also say with classes, courses meet at synchronized times. So if you have, let's say, a class at 1:15 in the afternoon, that class must end at 2:30. And now you've got 15 minutes to scamper to your 2:45 class on perhaps a different campus. So it's really easy to cross-register. The other thing I will say is that each college has its own dining hall, and you can get an app for your phone that tells you what's being served at each of these locations. There are 7 different dining halls, and you can move around from place to place. But here is a hint. Harvey Mudd has 900 students, so we are the smallest of the 5 colleges in Claremont, but we serve 1,300 lunches. So I'm telling you, the food's pretty good around here. I mentioned we were founded during the space race and the Cold War. I also mentioned we're the smallest of the colleges. So that's our enrollment. It's one of the ways that we're known, I think, is that we're a diverse student body. The first year and sophomore classes entered with 1 more woman than man. It's very much a 50-50 proposition here in the student body. And I think that's atypical for most STEM schools, and particularly for the ones that are really pushing the envelope there. It's also the case that there's not a dominant ethnic group here. It's maybe a bit over 30% white students, or students who identify as white. It's probably around 20 to 25% who identify as Asian American, a similar proportion who identify as Latinx, a smaller proportion of African American students, and a larger, maybe, I don't know, 12 to 15% who identify across multiple ethnic categories. Most of the students are from out of state. About 10 or 12% of the students are international students. So the point I'm making is that it is a diverse student body that is an asset to us and something that we value, because we produce a lot of problem solvers, and we want students to be able to look at problems from different perspectives, different experiences, different lenses. And so that's an important value system of the institution. You can see our mission statement here. This mission was written by our first president. He had been a physicist who walked away from the Manhattan Project. So this statement is our DNA. This completely drives all major decisions. And it's important for you students to reckon this, because your academic program is married to it. And so this is sort of the big picture, blocky kind of content here of how your academic program will take shape. HSA refers to humanities, social sciences, and arts. I'm going to get into each of the details of this. So the first set of courses students take is this core curriculum. This is what that looks like. Everything in yellow is a required course for every single student at our college. And you can see that it's scheduled very heavily in your first year. You'll have very little elective freedom, almost none, in your first year. But there's some benefits to this. One is this can help you choose your major. And I like to really emphasize this part. You, in applying to this college, are not applying to a major. And we will not allow you to select a major until your second year, which is very liberal artsy of us. We think you'll make a better informed choice at that time. It takes a lot of decision making and sometimes worry out of students' hands, but it puts them in a position to make an informed choice about this. And I think that's important because, frankly, what most high school students think is biology and what our faculty think is biology are not the same thing. And so we let you have these experiences and relationships to form that opinion. All the majors are open to you at that point, by the way. There are no like capped majors or things like that. Another important benefit of this core curriculum has to do with the way the faculty teach these courses. So this engineering systems course, which incidentally is disguised as an underwater robotics treasure hunt, it's a pretty cool class, leans on the background you've had in math and physics and computer science and writing. All these other things feed into it. And the way the faculty teach their courses, another great example is the biology course, which is influenced by the fact that students have completed multivariable calculus and have learned how to code in computer science. So we can take that biology course and look at problems in biology from a quantitative background in a way that most colleges, I don't think they'd try that with a first-time biology student. The ultimate aim here is for students to see connections across disciplines. Information they learned in one discipline trickles into another. And so this college is not siloed in terms of the academic departments. We move in an agile way across them. And we want students to have that kind of interdisciplinary mindset. But by far the biggest benefit of this core curriculum is the fact that it is a shared experience. Everyone can have common conversations. They can all giggle about references to Schrodinger's cat, right? They all get it. If a course like this linear algebra course is giving a student difficulty, who might be able to help you? Literally the entire student body, because every first-year student is in that class with you, and every sophomore, junior, and senior has completed that course. So this sets up an atmosphere at this college where the upper class students, the juniors, the seniors, have empathy for the first-year students, remember what those harder assignments were like, and help bail them out. And that sets a tone for the whole college. So in terms of social interaction here, it's designed, and the vibe is for people really leaning and helping each other out. So much so that one of our faculty members describes this college as the geek Marines, leave no person behind. And that's really our culture. So I don't think I can emphasize enough how collaborative is the learning environment as opposed to competitive. To further support this, the first semester here is in a pass or no credit system. That means you will not get ABC grades. It's yes or no. And it liberates students who come to this college being high achieving in high school, maybe putting a lot of pressure on themselves, and we can sort of take the volume down and have them focus on learning how to learn. Because the material you'll be facing here is not coursework that students are typically very familiar with, not so much in what the topic is, but the way of the instruction and the way of the learning here. So, and I can go into more detail about that, but that would take a little bit longer. The other thing I think it'd be a poor choice if I omitted, is there's a very heavy emphasis on communication skills. You might be surprised by how much speaking is working its way through this curriculum. There are 2 writing intensive courses here. This first course is limited to 8 students per professor, so it's really intimate. Here's a hint: you want to show up for class because it'll be pretty obvious you're not there. And you take another writing intensive course by the time you graduate. So this core curriculum unifies us. It sets a platform for students to pick any major. It shares the shared conversations, the shared mindset. It's a very powerful tool for us, and it's fundamental to what we're about. All right. These courses are very prescribed. None of this is. Students must complete about 25 to 30% of their courses in these disciplines, not all of them. We let the student work with an advisor to map out which courses they are going to be wanting to take. These are courses that students would take at Harvey Mudd College as well through cross-registration at our neighboring schools. We actually stipulate that a slightly fewer than half of the total number of courses, 10, so 4 courses have to be done at Harvey Mudd College, but you'll decide which ones, all right? Another point to make about courses in these disciplines at Mudd, a history professor is not teaching courses toward the major. So they can cherry pick interesting topics and without having to teach courses that are driven by the discipline. An example might be a politics professor is not going to be tasked with teaching political theory courses here, where they would almost certainly be asked to do that at some point in their career at other colleges, right? However, if you want that political theory course or constitutional law or something like that, well, our neighbors have it, and they're actually really good at it. So cross-register, take it that way. So we have a structure in mind. Students take 5 different subject areas, that's in yellow here. And then every student also takes 4 courses in one field that is not math and science. So we call this a concentration, and every student dives in, but it is entirely up to you to decide which subject matter that is. Sometimes I'm asked if we have a foreign language requirement, and my snappy answer is yes, Python. But that's a joke, but we don't have a foreign language requirement. So you really are at liberty to pick what you like. All right, the majors. I'll remind you that students pick their major in their second year. We have combination majors. These are, this would be a major that has been built largely in response to student demand. We can easily do these combinations because we're agile, being a smaller college, and we talk to each other. But we want to give a student a robust experience across 2 disciplines, or in one case 3, without the student having to double major. Double majoring takes up a lot of your course real estate. And it would, particularly given that 30% of your courses are going to be in the core, and another 25% or more are going to be in humanities, social sciences, and arts. Now you impose 2 majors, and your elective freedom is really pretty much going to go out the window. So this may be a nice compromise for you. The other characterization I'd have of our majors is that they're very broad. So you see we have a single major in biology, rather than having one for molecular biologists and one for marine biologists. We put them all into the biology department. The department that is probably the most surprising to people is engineering, because we have a ABET certified, Accrediting Board of Engineering Technology, certified engineering major, but it is a single major in engineering, and that is atypical. So to give you some illustration of how this works, and I hope you can imagine this being the same kind of strategy for any other major, physics, mathematics, chemistry, is the students would take a series of required courses in the major. It would be pretty heavily, several courses in systems engineering. They would take courses in fluid dynamics, material science, heat transfer, digital processing, And then from that platform, student A sees herself more as an electrical engineer, and off she goes toward that end. Student B sees herself more as a chemical engineer, and off she goes. Third person sees himself more as a mechanical engineer, and he's going that pathway. And so students kind of sort themselves out within the major based on where their interests fall, but they're all united in a single major. All right. But this approach puts a lot of pressure on this small college to have a lot of high-end courses. And we do. So if any of you are so excited about math as a major, collectively in Claremont, we offer 140 math courses in a year. So you will not run out of math. It also is the case that we have a lot of research and project work for our students. And here, I think it's a decided advantage that we're an undergraduate institution, because within the absence of graduate students or postdoctoral students, the only people that our faculty can turn to get research projects running are undergraduates. So that means you, as a second term freshman or throughout your career, are going to be finding yourself with a lot of opportunity to engage in research. We actually set aside opportunities for students in their first year. We will hire about 200, maybe 250 of our students every summer and pay them to do research here on our campus. Some students might parlay that into an internship. You don't have to do research immediately in your career, but when your senior year rolls around now, you have to. So a senior thesis would be required of a student studying field like a laboratory-based field like chemistry, or more theoretical areas like, I don't know, string theory. For the student whose interests are more in applied areas of endeavor, so the computer science majors, the engineers, computer science math majors will do clinic. Clinic is a signature program here. Students are assembled in teams of 5 to solve a live problem sponsored by an outside non-profit agency or industrial client that has paid the college about $55,000, and they think they should get return on their investment. So you and your team now have a deliverable in early May, and you will make all kinds of, you'll sort of fail your way to success with this. And you'll have support from our faculty and a liaison from the sponsoring company, but you and your team are going to do this work. And so here's an example. Our students worked on a project for a cancer research center recently. They built a cylindrical device about this big. It's an all-in-one tool that would allow a surgeon to remove brain tumors in a less invasive fashion than currently exists. The incision in the scalp is only a couple of centimeters. Wires inside the device can wiggle through crevices of the brain to the tumor, chop the tumor up into small pieces, extract the pieces, irrigate the system, cauterize the system out. And because this whole device is plastic, the doctor can keep the MRI working in real time. And so our students built that, which would be a cute thing to put on your resume, right? So these kinds of experiences, the success we have with this, there are these clinic sponsors over the years that become good friends of the college, and they look to hire our graduates, even if they're not sponsoring a clinic that particular year. So those kind of relationships flourish here, and it gives our students opportunities for internships, for hiring possibilities. But I would say ultimately, one of the other things that this college is known for is that we produce really good problem solvers. People who are not afraid about crossing over their own discipline into other areas of learning. They're comfortable with that because they've had experience with it. They're comfortable dealing with really big problems, with ambiguity, with uncertainty. They've had experiences with it. They're good team workers. They can lead or follow. If you give them resources and let them pick their team, you're going to have a pretty good chance of succeeding in your project. And that's something that companies will invest in. Somebody that would be invested in. It's also the case that we're a school that sends among the highest proportion of our graduates to PhD of any school in the United States. And so we have a strong track record there. It's because we produce good communicators, good problem solvers, people who are comfortable working in these different dimensions. And that may be really attractive, but here's the best part of the college. This is a really great group of people to be with. You don't have to apologize for loving math and science, for thinking Taylor series or quantum mechanics is cool. You are with people who get it. There's a strong feeling of belonging here. Some of that's engendered from our school's mission. Our core curriculum plays a role. Another important role is the fact that we are governed by a student-administered honor code, which establishes basic tenets of responsibility you have toward your peers, toward your academic responsibilities. This gives the faculty confidence to give students take-home exams rather than having to proctor them. So that unites us. The students don't feel like their peers are going to take advantage of them. We're a residential college, so students live on campus. Of 900 students, there are only about 20 that do not live on campus, and none of them are first-year students. So if you're eager for Greek life, you'll have to be content with math and physics, because that is where you'll see deltas and epsilons and sigmas, gammas, lambdas. We have 9 different residence halls. We put first-year students into each one. We surround them with upper class students who know the ropes and will help you and navigate through your college experience initially, reminding you that the first term is pass no credit. What's popular at Bud? A lot of different things. We have a lot of food clubs. Food translates to culture. We have a lot of community servants here. A lot of opportunities exist for you to make a contribution to others and to have an impact, something we care about. We have a lot of musicians. We are significantly overrepresented in music organizations in town. We also have this makerspace. The first picture I showed you, I'm going to go very quickly back to it. This space here, down here is a makerspace that is really tricked out. One of our faculty members is working with a group of students, and they are building from scratch an airplane, which I think is just wicked cool. But there's a sense but generally that is a student makerspace. That faculty member had to get permission to store his project there. But the students have access to like circuitry, chemicals, power tools, lathes, duct tape. They'll try stuff, and most of it's legal. So there's this kind of creative, what would happen if mentality here at this college. My favorite recent example, students took a sofa, put wheels on it, and then motorized it so they could cruise the campus from the comfort of sitting down. And just a really kind of fun experience there. So there's also a great deal of support that students feel at the college. It's a very sophisticated and intentional connection of what goes on in your residence life, your dorm life, how that affects your academic life, and vice versa. So there's a lot of good communication between the faculty and the student affairs staff. There's an unwritten rule at our college that every table can accommodate N+1, right? Which I rather like. So inclusive, it is a strong sense of belonging, and yet you can leave us behind and in 2 minutes be at another college, and 3 minutes later yet another college, and 3 minutes later yet another college, all because of this Claremont system. So you can really kind of accordion your academic and personal experience here depending on your needs, right? All right, that's largely what goes on at this college. I'm going to talk about the admission process. This slide tells you more about the what. You're